One of those mornings where everything seems a little too perfect, like you're living in some kind of dream that's bound to turn into a nightmare. That's how it started for me. Just another Saturday morning in suburbia, or so I thought. The day kicked off like any other. I was in the kitchen flipping pancakes like I'd done a million times before. The sun was streaming through the windows, casting this golden glow that made the whole place look like something out of a magazine. I was in my element, the smell of fresh coffee filling the air when Sarah, my wife, walked in. She was wearing this silk robe I bought her last Christmas, looking effortlessly beautiful as always. But there was something in her eyes that morning, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. "Smells amazing in here," she said, her voice bright, but there was a slight edge to it, like she was trying too hard. "Only the best for her special day," I replied, grinning as I set a stack of pancakes on the table. "Happy anniversary, babe." She gave me a quick smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. She took a seat, sipped her coffee, and glanced out the window like she was a million miles away. That's when I knew something was up. "Everything okay?" I asked, sliding into the chair across from her. She hesitated, tracing the rim of her coffee cup. "Yeah, everything's fine. Just work stuff, you know?" Now Sarah's never been one to bring work home, especially not on a day like today. We'd been planning this anniversary for weeks, talking about all the places we'd go, the memories we'd make. But suddenly, she was distant, distracted. "There's a meeting I need to attend later," she said finally, looking at me. "It came up last minute and I can't get out of it." I nodded slowly, trying to mask the disappointment gnawing at my gut. "It's okay, I get it. Work can be unpredictable." "I promise I'll make it up to you," she said quickly, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. "We'll have our special night when I get back." I smiled, but inside I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. Something wasn't right and I could feel it, but I didn't press her. Instead, I let it slide, convincing myself that I was just being paranoid. She kissed me on the cheek before heading upstairs to get dressed. I sat there for a while, staring at my untouched pancakes, my mind racing. I tried to shake off the unease, telling myself it was nothing, but the more I thought about it, the more the doubt grew. I heard the shower running, and that's when an idea hit me. I grabbed my phone and quickly texted my buddy Mike. He's one of those tech-savvy guys who knows how to find dirt on anyone. If something shady was going on, Mike could dig it up. "Need a favor," I typed. "Can you check into Sarah's work schedule for me?" "On it," he replied almost instantly. I slipped the phone back into my pocket just as Sarah came downstairs, dressed in a sharp business suit. She looked every bit the professional, but there was a nervous energy about her that I couldn't ignore. "I'll be back by evening," she said, grabbing her keys. "Don't wait up, okay?" I nodded, watching her walk out the door, that knot in my stomach tightening with each step she took. As soon as she was out of sight, I grabbed my keys and followed her. I know it sounds crazy, but I had to know what was really going on. I kept a safe distance as I tailed her through the quiet streets of our neighborhood, my heart pounding in my chest. She took the highway out of town, which struck me as odd. Her office was downtown, in the opposite direction. I followed her for nearly an hour, all the way to this fancy hotel on the outskirts of the city. She parked, got out, and walked inside like she'd done it 1,000 times before. My heart sank. This wasn't a business meeting. I pulled into a spot far enough away to avoid suspicion and watched as she disappeared into the hotel. I sat there for a few minutes, trying to calm the storm of emotions raging inside me. Betrayal, anger, confusion. They all hit me at once, but I forced myself to stay calm. I needed proof, something concrete before I confronted her. That's when I called Mike again. "I need you to track Sarah's phone," I said, my voice barely steady. "You sure about this, man?" Mike asked, sounding concerned. "Just do it," I replied, a little more forcefully than I intended. Mike didn't ask any more questions. Within a few minutes, he had her location pinned. She was still in the hotel on the 3rd floor, room 312. "Thanks, Mike," I said, hanging up and shoving the phone into my pocket. I made my way to the hotel lobby, trying to act casual as I walked past the front desk. My mind was racing, 1,000 thoughts running through my head. What was I going to find up there? Did I even want to know? When I reached the 3rd floor, I took a deep breath and started down the hallway. The numbers on the doors blurred as I passed them, my heart pounding louder with each step. Finally, I found room 312. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, my hand hovering over the door handle. Part of me wanted to turn around and walk away, to pretend this was all just some big misunderstanding. But deep down, I knew the truth. I had to face it, no matter how much it hurt. I knocked on the door, my hand trembling. There was a brief pause, then the door swung open. A man stood there, dressed in nothing but a towel, his hair still wet from the shower. He looked surprised, then quickly composed himself. "Can I help you?" he asked, trying to sound casual. I didn't answer. I just stared at him, my mind struggling to process what I was seeing. Then from behind him, I heard Sarah's voice. "Who is it, babe?" She appeared in the doorway, her eyes widening in shock when she saw me standing there. For a moment, none of us said anything. The silence was deafening, the reality of the situation sinking in like a cold, hard knife. I took a step back, my world spinning. "Babe?" I echoed, my voice barely a whisper. "That's what you call him?" Sarah's face flushed with guilt, but she didn't say anything. She didn't have to. The look in her eyes told me everything I needed to know. The man in the towel cleared his throat, clearly uncomfortable. "Look, man, I think you should—" "Shut up," I snapped, cutting him off. "Just shut the hell up." He backed off, raising his hands in surrender. "Hey, I didn't know she was married, okay?" I turned my attention back to Sarah, the woman I thought I knew, the woman I thought I loved. "How long?" I asked, my voice trembling with anger and betrayal. "How long has this been going on?" Sarah looked down at the floor, unable to meet my gaze. "A few months," she admitted, her voice barely audible. I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. "Why?" I asked, desperate for some kind of explanation, something that could make sense of the pain tearing through me. She finally looked up, her eyes filled with tears. "I don't know, Jake. I just wanted something different." "Something different?" I echoed, my voice breaking. "We've been together for 10 years, Sarah. 10 years, and you throw it all away for something different?" The guy in the towel shifted uncomfortably. "Maybe I should—" "Don't you move," I growled, my anger flaring up again. "You're not going anywhere until I get some answers." The guy paled, clearly regretting every decision that had led him into this moment. Good, let him squirm. He deserved it. I took a deep breath, trying to rein in my emotions. "We're going to have a little talk. Sarah and you," I said, pointing at the guy, "are going to sit there and listen, understand?" He nodded quickly, and I motioned for them both to sit down on the bed. I stayed by the door, keeping it closed, making sure there was no escape. "Start talking," I demanded. Sarah looked at me, tears streaming down her face. "Jake, I'm so sorry. I never meant for it to go this far. It was just supposed to be a fling, something to shake things up. I didn't think I'd get caught." "Yeah, well, you did," I said coldly. "And now you're going to pay for it." "What do you mean?" the guy asked nervously. "I mean," I said slowly, letting the tension build, "you two are going to regret this for the rest of your lives." The fear in their eyes was palpable, and I relished it. They deserved to feel every ounce of the pain they'd caused me. "You have no idea what you've done," I continued, my voice low and dangerous, "but you're about to find out." With that, I pulled out my phone and showed them the photos I'd taken. Photos of Sarah sneaking out of the house, meeting this guy at various places around town. I'd been watching them for weeks, gathering evidence, waiting for the perfect moment to confront them. Their faces went white as they realized the extent of my knowledge. There was no denying it.